Thanks, Craig.
My favorite Total Bear Looney tradition is just Kieran saying, "Thanks, Craig," every time Craig joins the voice chat.
Cool.
Welcome back, everyone, to Total Bear Looney, where we have a very special guest, one of the OGs of the Australian theme park creator sphere, Shane from Jaggs Journeys.
Hooray!
Thanks for having me on.
It's a pleasure. It is an absolute
joining
pleasure.
us.
Yeah.
Pleasure to be here.
Welcome to the chaos that is Total Bear Looney. I know I've had you on one of my previous podcasts before, which was much more calm and structured and asking you very specific questions. I don't know how
Yep.
much you've listened to of this podcast, but it's not like that at all. We just make
all
stuff
good.
up.
Absolutely. We'll roll with it.
Fly by the seat
See
of
what
our
happens.
pants here.
That's it.
Just
That
see what
sounds good.
happens.
That's it.
I was told off by Kieran a second ago because I mentioned I'm about to be up at the Gold Coast in a week or so, and I mentioned it off podcast recording, and I got in trouble for that. So I'm curious what Shane thinks I have to look forward to, because there's a few things up there that's happened recently.
Oh, yeah. Excuse me. There's plenty of things going on up here and plenty to look forward to. Definitely. Plenty to look forward to. I take it you're going to all properties up here or the two?
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
I wouldn't miss any.
What are you looking forward to going to the most? Do you have a preference?
It's got to be Jungle Rush. I feel like
Yeah.
Rivertown's got to be the most exciting for me.
Yeah, I think most people have the same opinion of that. And look, it's not to give any discredit to, excuse me, to the Wizard of Ozland at all, because it's amazing. But I think what they've done at Dreamworld with Rivertown is they've created a fully immersive new land. Like, it's completely immersive. And not to mention a couple of amazing attractions in there, and the amazing Jungle Rush roller coaster of the world's first, obviously inclined turntable. And the switch track up the top there is incredible how that works, and the ability to give that ride so many different options in the one ride. Even on the one ride, you get to ride it forwards and backwards, no matter if you depart the station forwards or backwards, because you have a choice. At the moment, they're running two trains, so there's a depart forwards option and a depart backwards option, and both ways you still end up going forwards and backwards anyway. So it's so cool.
I think that was really smart on their part to get something that would have so much re-riding appeal.
Definitely, rewriting is that is absolutely correct. 'Cause as soon as you hop off after going whichever way you departed, you're like, I got to go the other one now. Like, straight away, I got to go the other one, and then of course, at the moment being peak season, that's what they're rolling with, and that's because to keep it flowing, to keep the crowds moving. But they've got the ability to make that ride longer. In the one ride, you can make that ride even with one train. It can go. I think they can switch that 3 times or something like that. I think there's 3 options up there, and there's different pathways. So it's quite a unique ride, and it's exciting each time. And when you're watching it from outside, like, obviously from my perspective, trying to get B-roll, you don't even know where the heck the thing's gonna come. Is it gonna come out of there? And you point the camera there, and it comes out somewhere else, and then you think it's gonna come forwards. Now it's coming backwards. It's like, and that's the fun of it, though. You just don't know what it's doing. You get after a few rides, you do get to sort of know, and you get to sort of understand how it's coming out and which way it's out, which way it's coming out next. But then you hear the screams over one direction, but they actually, because it's inside and there's a couple of openings, and then the turntable, a track turns at the top there. it comes out another way. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty amazing, actually. I love it. So good.
Awesome. We've both managed to stay pretty spoiler free on what happens in the turntable room, so
Okay.
appreciate sort of keeping mum on that. But yeah,
Mhm.
we're both really keen to see it. Um,
Very
Absolutely.
excited. Yeah. Very,
I,
very
I
and
will.
excited.
I, I will- sorry, I will say that. Also, you probably would have noticed you haven't seen any actual POV from that ride. Um,
Mm,
and that's because there is a few things that actually haven't quite arrived due to the global shipping delays.
I think I
From
know
a
one of
theming
those
perspective.
things,
Yeah, potentially. Yeah.
because in all of the concept art and even in one of the promos, they've shown sort of the little weird gold nuggety crystal thing that's supposed to sit on top of the Jungle Rush temple
Yeah.
outside.
Correct. Yeah.
So I'm not sure how much that has plays with the story of the ride, but yeah, that seems
Mm,
to be one thing that I'm assuming is going to
yeah.
be added at a later date.
Yeah. Yeah. That has actually arrived on site
Okay.
at present. And there's like yeah, I think there's some waterfalls going outside as well. But
Oh, so they are doing
in
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was just literally things that didn't arrive in time, which impacted that. So the general public wouldn't notice. You wouldn't even know, right? But we seen and been following it for ages, seen the artwork and sort of know what we're kind of going to see to a
Yep.
point. Um, but yeah, let's just say over the next probably couple of months, maybe 2 to 3 months. Each time you visit, you'll probably see more inside, and then it will complete the full story. But that aside, at the moment, it's still like as I say, you would not notice that if you didn't know anything about that. It's everyone is just loving that ride regardless, and you don't it's still themed and everything in there, so you'll see it when you ride it. But um, you know what I mean? Like so, there'll be I won't spoil anything, but we can maybe discuss it afterwards
Yep.
once you've written it, and we can chat through that then. But
Awesome.
it's just awesome. It really, really is awesome.
Dreamworld
I'm
really punching
so
above their
excited.
weight when it comes to theming.
Yeah, they have, and they've done this like so well. I mean, obviously, a lot of us have been following the construction, but the thing that gets me is, I mean, I'm big on theming. I'm a theming guy. I love themed attractions and themed lands. And like Wizard of Oz is great too, but I think the difference is this Dreamworld Rivertown is a fully themed land. It from the second you walk in, it's concrete, as in concrete blocks all the way through the proper fencing. It's the lamps, the street lamps, everything is rope tied around poles. It's all proper themed right the way through. Wizard of Oz is, I think, and I don't know if it's how they. I think it is what they sort of were going for. You think about like in a movie studio and have movie sets. That's how I perceive this precinct in the Wizard of Oz land. I think that it's more, it's themed. It is definitely themed, and there's immersive parts to it. But then it's in a movie studio, so it's more to me. It's more like visiting movie sets within a studio. Whereas Rivertown is you're walking into a brand new, actual jungle land next to a river. Like it's and the way they that you walk down next to the river, through Rivertown,
Yeah.
toward the temple, and then the island and the water and everything. It's wonderful.
We've been a little bit more vocal on our criticism of sort of Wizard of Oz land compared to Rivertown,
Mm,
just with a lot of sort of the very dry like chain link fencing and
yeah,
sort of gaps in theming that it seems to be just from an outsider's perspective.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, Dreamworld really seemed to have knocked it out of the park.
You're definitely right. They've thought of everything. It's the detail. I guess when you first walk in, it's like wow, it's wow. You want to go on the rides, but as you start to then go back through, wander through, absorb everything, and really look at everything, you think, geez, that it's the detail. It's the actual. It's so much detail in there. They've literally, I reckon they've literally thought of everything. It blows my mind, and it is definitely Disney, Universal standard. It is definitely at that level, without a doubt. Um, and they've done cool things too, like with the plane. Um, a lot of people probably already know this, but some people don't. In fact, before I tell you this, when I was there a couple of weekends ago, I was talking to a guy who was actually in the Air Force and has flown in that exact plane. And I don't think he was actually aware either, because he seemed surprised when I told him this. But that plane number 179, which they still have the number on the front of the plane, they left that on there. That was the first plane into Vietnam and the last one out.
Right.
So
Whoa.
there's a stack of history with that alone. And then the fact also they've named it the Thunderbolt, as
Mm.
well, which is pretty cool. Nod to the
Nice
coaster.
touch.
Absolutely. Yeah, and like you got to experience Jane's Rivertown Restaurant. What's in there is so many relics from the past and park. The original Koala Town sign. Is it Koala
Koala
Town?
country.
Koala Country, yeah, that's the one. The original Koala Country sign is hanging on the wall in there, and it is the original. Um, Other signs and posters and things from around the park. The mammoth head that was sitting around by the giant drop, that's in there as well. Things they've collected. So obviously the story is Jane and Murray, the adventurers. They've collected things from all around the world, and they've landed in the jungle. Um, and then they've got these cars going, and they've opened a restaurant and all that kind of thing. But the relics or the collectibles from their journeys around the world are on display in there as well. So Dreamworld went to great lengths to source this stuff from marketplace, from people, just from wherever they could, um, to make this, I guess, make or complete the story, if you like. And yeah, it's just when you look at all the details in there, everything just has a place, has a purpose, and just flows and makes sense. And they have a sign. I think I featured it in my video. Like a map of Rivertown. But you look at that map, and there's actual. It's done in black and white, but they've got the plane there. They've got the restaurant. They've got the Mississippi Motors and all that. It's pretty cool. Like it's just the whole thing, what they've done, and then the adventurous photos on the walls in the restaurant. It's actually Dreamworld like management, and Greg Yong, CEO. He's one of the hikers in the. But they've photoshopped it in, but it doesn't look. To the public, you just think, oh, there's some adventurers, hikers, black and white photos of the wall. It's amazing that just the thought and the detail,
It's a really
right
good
down to the.
example of lore and world building.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, world building, absolutely right. They've built. It's like you're actually stepping in and have you to this jungle, and there is a temple there, like, and it is actual concrete. It's not just like fiberglass to look like concrete. It is heavy. All those panels we saw, they were I can't remember what he said they weighed, but they were heavy. They had to get the crane they used was one of the bigger heavy lift cranes to get all these parts in, but it's all proper carved stone. Like it's the real deal. You go in the restaurant, there's big massive cinder blocks in there, and it's real. It's not just fake. That's the thing. It's the difference. The fencing is, all the. I think the wood. It was all done in Vietnam as well. Like it's just, yeah, like incredible. Obviously you'll experience it for yourself when you walk through. But I always say, look, stop and take it in. Stop every now and then and look around and just absorb and take it in. They've themed the rubbish bins in there too. Like Disney do, with the Tasman Trading Co. They use for that, and yeah, just everything. And imagine too, they planted over 1,000 plants in Rivertown to make it look like the jungle. But of course, a lot of those plants are small. So think about what this is going to look like in, say, 4 years' time, three,
Mm.
4 years' time, when those plants have grown a lot. It's going to be, Rivertown's going to be even more like a jungle. But what the plan is for that, which I loved this when I heard this from Dreamworld, was the plan then is for their maintenance or garden maintenance staff of the park to use that as a nursery. So as rather than have it all overgrown, so they need to keep it pruned, obviously, to make people still, get around it and see everything nicely in the plane and all that.
Yeah.
but they'll use those plants to or cuttings and things to maintain gardens around the rest of the park as well. So they're using it as a nursery as well. So it's
That's
really
awesome.
smart what they've done there. Yeah, I love that. So
Propagate cuttings and stuff like that.
yeah, correct. Yeah, absolutely right. Even the retail has been themed on the inside as well. There's a Jeep in there, and it's some artwork on the wall. I just love the thought that's gone into this. And it is fully immersive. You truly think in there you're in Rivertown. Like it is immersive. It really really is immersive. So yeah, I just like I love that. So I love Wizard of Oz too, but it's a different kind of love, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Different,
Mm.
but yeah,
That's
Dreamworld,
very.
Rivertown's crazy.
It's incredible to hear because that's something that we haven't heard from a lot of the new attractions that we've gotten in Australia for a very long time. I'd say
Mm,
Leviathan did some of it well, particularly the station there is very immersive and well
yeah,
done, but I don't think we've had an attraction that was both inside and outside absolutely perfect and immersive, probably since Bermuda Triangle.
I was just gonna
Um,
say exactly that, exactly that. Yep, you're right.
it's been that long.
Yep,
It's incredible to think that we've kind of gone without something like that for so long. So I'm very excited for Rivertown. I can't wait to see. I've heard so many things about it already. Obviously, I'm trying to avoid spoilers about certain things, but
yeah,
I'm so excited, and I can't wait to get up there and see it for myself.
absolutely. You're gonna love it. Um, I just suggest get to the front gate a bit early. And then they actually I think at the moment they're opening the gates. Well, it's still 10 o'clock. I think they're letting people in from about 5 2, and then they hold you about where the coffee shop is, and then you go from there. And when I went last weekend, as soon as they said, "Okay, you can go, guys," people were sprinting into Rivertown, sprinting, and it's on a downhill, slant that concrete. I was thinking someone's gonna lose their counterbalance here and roll. They're gonna go down, but no one did. But I was just thinking that's dangerous. Like they should be saying no running, guys, because it was I was like quite surprised. But what surprised me the most, 90% of those people ran to Murrissippi Motors and queued up there first. I was like, "Oh, okay,
Really?
it is the first thing you hit when you hit into Rivertown, obviously, but, I was like, "Oh, wow, okay." But then again too, I guess they wanted to get the first ride there and then moving down to Jungle Rush. But of course, the queue time's gonna be longer, on Murrissippi Motors because, they're running 2 trains on Jungle Rush. The queue goes pretty quick. You're not really waiting that long, even in peak. You're not really waiting too long at all. Plus they have single rider, plus they have, forwards and backwards. I noticed most people go in the forwards queue, so you just walk up to the and that's what I'm saying, forwards, there's forwards departing the station, reverse. So, both ways you go forwards and backwards anyway. It's just what you prefer. I personally prefer departing the station, backwards because and also seeing it at the front of the actual front of the coaster because it starts off and then you go straight up the lift hill backwards, but then when the track switches and turns, then you go forwards, right? So then you go straight down, but then there's a point where it switches again, and obviously you go backwards. So other people say they prefer to go forwards first, then backwards. So it just depends. I ride, I've ridden them both, and I love them both, but I just have a preference of the reverse first, and usually that's the shorter queue. So, um, yeah, there's a hint for you.
Good to know. Um,
Yeah,
Keep that
it's
in mind. Yeah.
interesting to see sort of with especially Rivertown sort of being them really stepping their game up in regards to theming, how
mm,
they're going to, as the future unfolds, make all of Dreamworld more cohesive. Because with King
yeah,
Claw going in, as we've
yeah,
seen in the concept art, there seems to be more of a theme to it by having like
mm,
it looks sort of like a sea monster, like H.P. Lovecraft, Cthulhu kind of
yeah, yeah,
vibe.
yep,
So already that's making it more relevant to Ocean Parade. which I think is
Correct.
needed in Ocean Parade, because there are a couple of attractions there that just don't seem to fit in with the ocean theme. I still am baffled as to how Shockwave is ocean themed, but that's just me.
And maybe they need to turn that into like a blue bottle or something, maybe
Yeah.
that shocks you or something. But you get the seaplane thing, the seaplane,
Yep.
that's fine. But
That one works. But yeah,
yeah,
Core and Shockwave I found sort of were the ones that
mm,
sort of stuck out for the wrong reasons to me.
yeah, yeah. And they must be thinking about that because, like you said, they have kind of done a little bit more toward that kind of creature. Um, and I was speaking with the actual project manager who builds all these rides. So yeah, he built the Steel Taipan. He's built Rivertown. He also built what do you tell me? Warner Brothers Abu Dhabi, no, Dubai, the actual indoor Warner Brothers theme park
Oh
in
yeah,
Dubai.
yep.
He built that too.
Mm,
So this guy's unreal guy. Like he's an amazing guy to talk to. Incredible. But yeah, he said obviously they're not just putting up a ride. There's going to be a story theming and that kind of thing around it too. And obviously it's going to face a different direction. Um, to swing towards Main Street essentially because of the footprint being such a larger footprint. So it's gonna look cool. It's gonna look completely different, particularly swinging the other direction. And there'll be definitely like story and theming with that as well. Obviously not to the extent of Rivertown, but there at least will be theming and story going with that. So I'm excited to see how that turns out.
definitely. Dreamworld are kicking
Mm.
goals right now. They're really, I
Yeah.
mean, compare the exciting things we're talking about with Dreamworld right now to where they were even a couple of years ago. And
hmm
it's kind of, yeah, it's just amazing to think about.
My big
You think about
question.
how much work they've actually done. Like all of that Kenny and Belinda's Dreamland.
Oh
All
yeah.
those
Mm,
rides, a lot of work has gone in, like the parents' room, the whole concrete pathway area has been changed through there. Uh, Retheming of the Dodgems and the Wiggles rides and things like that. Yeah, a lot has gone in there.
Absolutely. My big question is, now that they've reopened the path that links from Tiger Island to Rivertown, are the bees still there?
To be honest, I haven't walked through. I sort of partially walked through there. Um, I think so. I think so, but I'm not 100% sure. Not 100% sure. So I
That's
didn't
been
do
my
the full
my
walkthrough.
thing. I was like, what about the bees, man?
I think they are because I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have removed it or changed that. So I don't think it has been. Yeah, but
For
you'll have to
those
see.
unaware, there is a colony of Australian native
Yeah,
bees that were in the wall between in that little tunnel between what was ABC Kids World and Tiger Island. So now Rivertown.
yeah, uh, and they still live up in that. They put up there like it's like a little. Is it a lampshade or like a lantern or something? They sort of hangs up there, and there's a lot of them are in there
Oh yeah.
as you walk through. Yeah, but yeah, I
mm.
would say they'd still be there.
That's really, I've got a talking point about bees and pollinators in theme parks because so Australian native bees they don't sting, right?
They're stingless, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, stingless. So unfortunately, Ireland, that is not the case.
oh
The native pollinators generally tend to be either large bumblebees or wasps, like
yeah,
small wasps, not as large as the wasps that we see in Australia, but they still do sting and they hurt quite a bit.
yeah,
And one of the biggest problems they had when they opened the new area in at Emerald Park is because there was so much foliage and so many trees there, all of the wasps migrated down to Tinanog. So
Right.
they've been putting.
oh
I noticed that when I visited on my nighttime visit, I noticed they put in a lot more just pollinator kind of nests to try and encourage them to live in certain places away from the paths and away from where there's a lot of people trafficking, so that
Yeah.
You know, you know,
They don't
you get
set
a
up
lot
shop
less,
there.
yeah, a lot less stings to deal with.
Yeah.
Because they were,
Yeah.
there was one point there when we were first working where they were just everywhere. You couldn't avoid them. They were all over the
Yeah, right.
place.
Classic.
Well, sounds like Dreamworld's doing a better job.
Yeah. No, it's excuse me. Yeah, it's yeah, wow. It's just wow. It's just and it's so good to actually, like you said before, to see to finally have an actual fully immersive land to go into. Um, it really is. And then when you complete everything in there, including lunch, the restaurant in there, which is amazing, by the way, the food, the animatronics, the view, everything. Um, and the background music in there is just so perfect as well. Incredible. It just it does create a feeling, like, you get a really good feeling of this whole land. It's yeah, it's quite immersive. It's really good.
Hmm. That's good to hear. It is very good to hear. It's a relief almost after so long.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, even like the bathrooms in the restaurant are themed as well and it's beautiful theming. It's like carried on through from the restaurant essentially. So yeah, like real high class, really really nice. So make sure you just to wash your hands, what have you, but pick out the bathrooms in there as well. Like that's what I mean. It carried everything on through. They haven't just stopped it there and put a basic bathroom in, if you know what I mean. So they could have done that, but they didn't. And down to the door handles and it just the fittings, everything in there, incredible. And they've got a conference room down the hallway toward the toilets off to the right. There's actually a massive conference room which is also themed as well. That can be also split into two rooms, for meetings and things like that. So obviously they can use it for conferences, they can use it for events and that kind of thing where they'll hire that out. Maybe a company will come in and hire that out, have a conference there for the day, use the restaurant for their lunch, and then maybe experience some of the, rides and things as well, either at night or during the day. So, and they've done that so well as well.
That's awesome.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's
It's
incredible to
And
it's
hear.
showing that they're
honestly,
really sort of trying to step up to be the Disneyland of Australia again, which is
I
sort
think
of
so.
what Longhurst's vision was originally back in the day, from what I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah. Correct. I think they've even, I think Greg said they even reached out to the Longhurst family on a couple of things when they're talking about doing things in the restaurant. So yeah, I don't know the specifics around that, but that's pretty amazing too.
Absolutely.
Great to hear. That's amazing.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, you'll love it. And make even if you ask if you can have a look at that conference room, just to say you can see it, because it's closed off, obviously, while it's not in use. And just ask, one of the food and beverage managers in there if you can just have a quick look. You've heard it's a great space and you'd like to check it out because it is worth seeing.
Yeah. Jake will be
Wow.
beating me up there. I'm still under I'm still under no roller coasters, no roller coaster orders for the next 2 months at least. Um,
Yeah.
for those who don't know, I broke my collarbone while over in Perth, at the end of last year. So
How did you break it?
I was on a water slide at Adventure World.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we just
Wow.
came around a corner and just
Gee.
went too far up one side and then went smack into the side of the slide, and I heard it crack at the time.
Oh, geez, that would be painful, I imagine.
Yeah, yeah, it's it was surprisingly like, yeah, it wasn't as acutely painful at the time. Like, it was painful, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but it was the evening where it really started to, like, go, "Oh, there's something really wrong here."
Yeah. Oh, sorry to hear that. I hope you're on the mend.
Thank you, yeah,
Mm.
I just got the g the word from the doctor yesterday saying that he doesn't need surgery, so I'm
Oh,
taking
good.
that as a win. Um,
Absolutely. That's good
Yeah.
news.
So
Yeah.
4 more weeks in the sling, and then another 4 after that before I can get on a coaster again.
That's all right. It'll all be worth it in the end.
Absolutely.
Something to look
It'll be
forward
worth
to.
it. You just
Yeah.
have to put up with 2 months of me teasing you about Jungle
100%.
Rush on the podcast until
Yeah.
until you're good to go.
Look forward to.
No, very, very exciting stuff. I think we should talk a little bit about Wizard of Oz. Let's be nice and balanced. You mentioned that it felt very much like um, movie set style theming, and I've seen a lot more from Wizard of Oz because I'm not quite as scared about the rides themselves being spoiled for me. So
Yep.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. I think what they've done well is they've created a great land for families. Because when I go and visit these places, obviously I'm visiting for the first time and I'm going, wow, this is cool. Everything is kind of wow for the first time you walk in there. But I look at what other guests or how other guests are actually reacting, because that's really the true test. Because enthusiasts, we look for other things, right? But a guest, it sort of doesn't see or look for the things we look. They take it for what it is, and when you see families like walking down that yellow brick road, and even then, because it's like the sounds of the Superman disappears, and as soon as you walk under that archway with the rainbows, obviously the Wizard of Oz songs are playing, under the rainbow, like Yellow Brick Road, all those sort of things. To see the families, I've seen families holding hands and skipping like through there, and very like just happy that they're going to the land of Oz. So I think they're creating memories for families, and that's what Movie World, or Village Roadshow do. They create memories and experiences for families, and look, and it does feel amazing when you walk under there and you do hear that music playing, and then you start to get immersed. So they do that well. And you walk into I guess the hub or the courtyard, whatever you want to call it there. And then you got to kind of turn a sharp left before you see the Emerald City Castle there. Which is magnificent, by the way, and it is wow factor. It is like, check that out. That is massive. It's awesome. It's wow factor. It's cool. It's really cool. You see the Munchkin Land to the side there, um, and you just see excitement on people's faces, and it's excitement, and the characters in there. And I'm glad they've got all the characters in there, because they have got the cast of the Wizard of Oz in there. Different times of the day, they also break out into song as well, which is really cool. And then they go up on the steps or sort of platform in front of the Wizard of Oz castle there. The only thing with that is some people come out of that, like they've gone in to have a look around and they haven't maybe gone on the ride, and they've come out of that castle and they're coming out behind where the actors are performing, like they're walking out on stage.
Yeah, I've noticed that. That's
Awkward. And look, you can see them sort of freeze and do the Homer back into the hedge kind of thing, or would sort of squeeze
deer
to
in
the
the
side.
headlights.
Yeah, that deer in the headlights for sure. Um, and I guess that it's impromptu, it's pop up. But I think, I don't know, maybe moving forward, they could maybe try and figure something out there. But the cool thing is they've also got the Good Witch there. Is it Glinda?
Yeah.
There for photos, and she also does a song there as well and performs. And then the Wicked Witch. I tell you what, this is incredible. I mean, obviously they've probably got more than one that does it. But the day I was there, the Wicked Witch, whoever was that character, mate, you'd swear it was the original one out of the 39 movie, Wizard of Oz. Like that was
Margaret
what
Hamilton.
it was. Wow, man! I'm telling you, it was wow. And the interaction isn't just hello. She's the Wicked Witch. She starts asking questions about, have you seen, Dorothy, or she's right in the character as they should be, but it's incredible and it's just so well done. And her little cackle and her movements, and it's just like, wow, this is cool. This is it. And that was just like, I was excited, and I'm a grown man. I'm excited for this. And I think this is this is what we sort of got to remember. This is what we're creating. It's for families. It's this, you've stepped into the movie essentially. And that's what because also if you stop and look around, you still see the white sheds above, right? But that's how the movie studios, if are essentially. And so I think they're calling it a precinct rather than a land. I guess it's a Land of Oz. I liken it more to a movie set, like you've walked into the movie set kind of thing.
Mhm.
So at your site level, you're seeing everything correctly. You look up, you do see the sheds and that, but I think that's just movie world anyway. So I think we can't compare what DreamWorld's created with that. They've created a fully immersive land. What movie world's created is an immersive Land of Oz set. Um, it's immersive. To, in certain parts of it. Particularly when you go into the castle, like I was just like, wow, and it is. You gotta stop and look around, and look up. The detail in there is really cool. It's crazy. The projections on the walls, the Wizard of Oz on the back is incredible. Um, it's really cool. And then you choose, if you're going to go to one ride or the other ride, and then that's when you start experiencing the themed queue lines. And again, um, the one that goes to the Kansas Twist is probably more of the themed movie set style one where you can see the
Yeah.
house there, and then but yeah, it's you got to kind of take it all in, not just rush through it. I think you got to slowly just walk through there. A lot of people want to rush to get through, but I think if you just stop and look around, if you know the movie as you're going through, say the archways, it kind of goes from color to sepia, which Dane actually pointed that out. He noticed that, so because you're kind of going from color to into sepia, whereas she went
That's a
from
nice little
sepia
touch.
into
Yeah.
color. Yeah, yeah. Not everyone would pick up on that, and I must admit, I never picked up on that and at first. And then when he mentioned that, then I watched my video back. I'm like, yeah, he's right. Yeah, that's pretty cool. What a cool thing. Um, and like the house is cool. It's actually on an angle, so but there's also an accessible entry, like side part for people in chairs and things like that, or can't walk up a slight incline. Um, the lights swing in the house, the tornado, the screens behind the windows. You're in the twister. It's cool. Like it is cool. Um, I guess a lot of people have been saying, although there's not much theming out in the where the rides are, it's pretty bare. And look, I don't know whether the cornfields are going to grow or whether they're just fake. I don't even know that, but um, I guess you can't have too much in there because you got to see the stuff and probably they can't get caught up in the ride either, right? So it's probably limited. Yes, there's a lot of chainmail around there. I think that's more so because of you've got a suspended coaster above you at one point, and you've also got the Kansas Twister goes above you at two different points as well. So obviously you can't have things or options for people's footwear or what have you to fall off onto you below. So they've had to do chainmail through there. It does feel a little bit enclosed to a point. It's just safety. That's just what it is. It's standard industry fencing safety. I don't think there's any. I don't think many people really. I've heard some negative stuff about it a lot actually, but you gotta take the whole area for what it is and what probably reasons why they've done those things and why they had to do it like that. I I don't think there's a huge like disappointment in the area at all. Like I think everything is unreal and awesome. There is certainly opportunities though, and on the next episode of our theme park cartel podcast coming out this week, we discussed this in detail, and we sort of discussed good, bad, and ugly. And it's not just and there's nothing like it's a positive conversation. It's not actually about saying this is bad, right? It's
Yeah.
like more, hey, these are opportunities that perhaps maybe they also needed to get this open on time for peak as they would. Maybe some of the theming hasn't been finished off yet. We don't know
Yeah.
that. Perhaps that's the case because there's a couple of blank walls here and there and things like
Yeah.
that. So,
We were having
oh,
similar conversations in our last episode.
yeah, yeah,
And it just seems like, and like the critiques we were mentioning were things that wouldn't be hard to just add in, like
yeah,
seating,
correct. Yeah,
rubbish
Jay.
bins,
Yeah,
roping off sections that are still themed to Arkham Asylum.
yeah. Yeah, the security sign at the back there is, I don't get that actually, why that wasn't even just blocked off. Yeah. But I'm sure someone's seen that now or is aware, perhaps, but because the public can just walk behind there and go,
Yeah.
"Oh, asylum," and that's you know,
Takes you out of it.
yeah, it's like, oh, okay. Um, so they could have just put a wall with a door in there or something, but yeah, I think I'm sort of thinking, okay, we're going to take it all as it is right now. It's a wonderful land. Families are loving it. The rides are awesome. I mean, they're family coasters, but they're actually really awesome coasters. And throughput on Kansas Twist is really fast. Queue time hasn't been any longer than I think the longest I've seen on the app's like 45. But I think,
Okay.
and this is we're talking the peak of peak as well. It's I mean
Mm.
you'd expect it to be way more than that. But Flight of the Wicked Witch, however, one train, um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 hour
And I
queue most days.
I get why it is one train because it's a
Yeah.
fairly short ride.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I can see how that
Does
would bank up quite a bit.
It
it
does,
does
yeah.
make me
But
wonder if it was the right choice of ride model for Movie World, because it works well
yeah,
for Gumbaya World, but even at Gumbaya World, in my experience, it can get quite a long line. So I don't know,
yeah,
but it's a good ride.
it is a good ride. Yeah, everyone's loving it, and because I guess in the Gold Coast, the only other suspended coast is King's Price Fly, and like I can't ride it. I weigh too much, so um, this one
That's
here,
a
most
that's a
people can
big
ride.
bone of contention on my channel.
Yeah, yeah. You're doing well too, by the way. You're looking amazing, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Well done, mate. I need to get some
Cheers.
tips off you actually. So I
Oh,
need
it's
to
all
drop some, mate.
it's all the old-fashioned way, I gotta say. It's not glamorous, but it works.
Mate, if it works, that's the main thing. It's the main
Yeah.
thing. But yeah, yeah, I mean, I'm probably not quite as tall as you, Kieran, but I'm 6'2". You'd be what,
Yeah,
6'4"?
we're the same height.
Same height? Okay. One thing you've been on TNT, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you find that at a couple of points in the ride where I think we're at mainly where it sort of dips down a bit, your legs or feet go out in front of you, hit the train in front of you?
I rode front row both, like, the
Okay.
times
Yeah.
that I was on TNT, so I didn't
Okay.
get that opportunity to notice that, but I can
I
see how
think
that could happen.
that is quite a common thing with the Vekoma suspended coasters. That's why a lot of them have. I don't know if Flight of the Wicked Witch does, but a lot of them have stickers on the back of the seats that say "Don't extend your legs."
Yeah,
Um,
correct.
yeah,
Yeah.
because you can hurt
Yeah.
yourself. It's even the same with the larger ones. Fina Force at Emerald Park is the suspended thrill coaster, and it's the same.
Yeah.
You can also hit your legs on the seat in front of you at certain points
Yeah.
in the ride.
I found that, and look, that's what some people said to me. Well, did you not see the stickers? I'm like, well, I didn't actually, but it's probably there. But the fact was, I wasn't purposely putting my feet out. I found just naturally, and I think it's because I am taller. That when it goes down toward that concrete, I sort of naturally my feet sort of just I wanted to raise my feet up because I
Yeah,
thought they were gonna not that they would
Mm.
hit, but I thought they were gonna hit.
it's like a
And then it
reflex.
was then yeah, yeah, but and then it was then that the carriage in front, because I like to experience the ride from, yeah, pretty much forward, middle, back, and I was at the back at this one, and then the carriage went like that, like sort of pushed forward against my feet as I pushed my feet up. I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's not good." So, I mean, it didn't hurt myself or didn't cause an injury or anything, but, yeah, I just think that's and I noticed that happened on TNT as well, so it's obviously a design it's what happens on those coasters. Unless it's just me, could be. But, that's what I found. But anyway, good ride, loved it. Um, yeah, it could be a little bit more theming in parts of it. They sort of they do it well and like in most of it. There's parts where it seems to maybe run out kind of in the queue line area and then in the later stage of the queue line area and then the station area. From the artwork, I was not that it probably not that it probably said this, but from in my perception of the artwork, even though you can never trust the artwork because it's never
Mm.
exactly the same. It looked the load station reminded me of Leviathan. It was like, wow, there's screens in there and it looks damn crazy.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
think
I looked. That's what it looked like.
Yeah, I think most of us anticipated those murals to actually be screens, which
Correct.
obviously isn't the case.
Now, they could be. They could have planned to have been. Maybe they were supposed to be, and maybe they still might be. Maybe they just had to get it open and go, "For now, we're gonna have to do this." Like, I know, um, like, where I work outside in my real job, we import from the US, and there's so many delays on containers, it's crazy. And I know Dreamworld's, like we said before with Rivertown, there's been delays on their containers, and they're waiting for stuff for theming as well. Maybe that's the case still with I don't know this, but, maybe it is. Maybe they're waiting on some things to still maybe just finish off a few things. Or maybe they came across areas when they were doing underground work, footings, and maybe they had to spend more money on fixing something up or power or whatever, and then it ate into the theming budget. I don't know. I mean, I'm just speculating, obviously, but
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? There could be other things as to why things
Oh yeah,
don't
there's
seem
plenty of
quite
stuff that
finished.
we're all not privy to. So yeah,
Yeah.
for
So,
sure.
but then again, it could be completed. I mean, we don't fully. I mean, I think there's still things that need to be tweaked, just tweaked. But
Yeah,
certainly from a general guest perspective, no one's picking up on this stuff. They're just going, "Wow, it's amazing." I went to the Land of Oz. We saw the characters, and the rides are awesome. You know, I'd like to have seen in that courtyard, um, like a themed merchandise cart. You know, like the Professor is it Marvelous or something? And
Professor
the
Marvel. Yeah,
yeah, like he's got the cart. It's in the ride. It's in the ride footprint of Kansas Twister actually, and as theming. But imagine having that and then having it selling retail hats and some T-shirts and maybe some flying monkeys or something, and then having some sunscreen or whatever, and then having a food and beverage one in there as well, just selling the drinks, maybe some ice box or something like that, or popcorn because. Um,
yeah,
there's nothing in there, and they have parked some food and beverage mobile stuff in the Superman precinct just before you go into Wizard of Oz, and also outside the front of the Superman sign. Excuse me, I think that's just for peak season though. But once peak's finished, there'll be nothing around there. I'm sure they'll pull that out.
yeah.
I could
We've
be wrong. Maybe that's permanently there, but I think it'd be gone.
yeah we've discussed previously how in order for a land to be successful, it needs to have a good combination of rides, entertainment, retail, and food.
Yeah, that's exactly
Mm.
right. That's correct.
Yeah, and it is definitely missing some of the basics from what I've seen, both in terms of those four aspects and also, just your basic things like seating, shade bins,
Mm,
um,
yeah,
that sort of thing. But like you said, there's probably some things that they've just skipped over in their haste to get it open for peak season, sorry, and
yeah,
yeah, absolutely. It could definitely improve with some very minor adjustments.
yeah. Even like the Munchkin Village, Munchkin Land, it's just a mold. Like I would have
Mm,
thought maybe some of the windows and doors may open to see something in there, or maybe an interactive screen, or just something. I don't know where you look in and you can see. Yeah, I'm
like a
not talking full
diorama kind of
animatronic or
thing.
anything. Yeah, yeah, just a little bit more than just a molded piece against the wall. And maybe there was supposed to be more there again. Maybe there was. But it's still a great opportunity to take a photo in the Munchkin Land. Like it's still cool. It would have even been cooler to have seen some actual Munchkins, like actors come out. That would have been cool. I think that would be awesome. Just complete it. Although, and again, we spoke about this on our podcast. I think the entranceway could have, if they had have really maybe, I don't know why it wasn't thought of this, but where the old Lethal Weapon entrance was off Main Street, I actually
Yeah,
thought that's where they were gonna originally make that because they had that big archway there, Lethal Weapon the ride. You
yeah, I
remember that? Sort
remember
of
it back in the day.
Asian. Yep, between the bank and the bakery. And there it was, and then you walk down Chinatown, and it was all just the Chinatown shops and lanterns hanging. Well, they could have put the rainbow over there, made that the yellow brick road, put flowers down there, and theming music and things, and then you would have walked to the end and gone, boom, here's Emerald City. But before that, you could have also had the Munchkin Village in the very start near the under the big sign, because in the movie they see the Munchkins first before they get to the Land of Oz. So
Yeah.
just in terms of flow of story, but again, I just think with the entrances, I mean, they're not going to change the entrance, obviously, and there's perhaps a reason why it's where it is, but it's like currently there's no signage pointing in the direction of Land of Oz is this way, and that's
Yeah,
just
there
the
needs
thing.
to be more
I asked
wayfinding.
Yeah, and look, again, this is probably all gonna come. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure if we're talking about it, I'm sure they've already pointed it out and gone, "We need a sign." I'm sure. So, um, I'm sure we'll see a sign appear by the fountain or by Superman that says, "Wizard of Oz this way, Land of Oz this direction." I'm sure we will see that. I would hope so. Hope to think. But, it's just kind of like, yeah, sort of like to me, it's a kind of awkward entrance way. But when you're in the once you're on that yellow brick road, it's amazing. It's incredible. The flowers are amazing. The music, everything is cool. It's amazing. But I just think it would have been better coming off Main Street. I think that's my personal opinion. But
Visually, the impact of the Emerald Palace definitely would have had more of an
yeah,
impact rather than having to come around a corner to look at it.
correct. Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
I sort of see the reasoning why they didn't use that Main Street entrance, because if they want to keep the entrance seeming like part of Main Street, it's a little bit jarring to go from Main Street Americana kind of buildings to a rainbow archway going. So thematically wise, I understand them not doing
yeah,
that, but I think from the architecture of Park Flow, it
mm,
would make more sense to do it that way.
yeah,
So, you know,
yeah. And obviously the shop would then, if you came out that way as well, would be directly opposite the entranceway because it's located on the corner of Main Street at the moment. I think originally in the plan, the shop was supposed to be in the land, I believe. Um, and I think they had to
but
reallocate that space.
I think they needed places for the actors to prepare and
Yeah,
get changed and whatnot.
yeah. I think that's exactly what happened to the shop. Became a green room. Which it makes sense because they needed to have that. They have to have
Yeah,
that. So
totally.
yeah. Mm,
Absolutely. Um, I wanted to ask you because, as I said in your little introduction at the start of this podcast, you are one of the OGs of the Australian theme park YouTuber slash content creator sphere. At this point, 11.4 thousand subscribers, over nearly 3.5 million views, 650 videos. You've created your channel more than 10 years ago now. So I wanted to ask you, how have things changed um, since you first started making videos about theme parks?
yeah. It's only been 5 years. I think six, maybe six, but feels like 10. Um, look, yeah, I guess there's more. I guess there's more things happening, which is great because it creates content. It gives us the ability to create content, more content. Um, there's certainly more people now doing content than ever before, and I wasn't the first, obviously. Um, um, it's actually funny because like I started off. Um, what my thing was I was always watching the USA vloggers, like all the theme parks over there, and like Theme Park Worldwide and all those guys, right? And I didn't even know there was any Aussie theme park vloggers. Actually, I didn't even because I was just more interested in the USA parks, having worked here in Australia in the Village Roadshow theme parks. So I didn't really take too much notice. I know there was a few um, people that would do like blogs, like social media posts and things like that, but not so much YouTube. I didn't even know there was YouTubers, and there was probably a couple maybe before me, but um, yeah, I think now there's probably what I've noticed the most is I guess like I'm on all platforms, so I'm not just on YouTube. I'm on all platforms, and a lot of people are either just on one or the other. A lot of, but in this game, you kind of got to be on all because you need whatever your main one is. So for me, my main one is YouTube. That's what I put all my focus into. But I have to be on the other platforms to drive people from those platforms to YouTube as well. But then there's so many awesome creators on those other platforms that do incredible, amazing things that you got to step up your game a little bit, like, because you're like, well, okay, I need to put something decent out here just to drive them to that one. So I'm finding I'm doing more work than ever before. And then when you're filming, you got to remember now I got to film in vertical, unless you're using the GoPro that can do both. But a lot of the because we can't film on the rides here in Queensland, we don't like I don't use my GoPro unless I'm riding on the rides, approved elsewhere. But and you can change the formats. You can film once and you change the format easy. But when you're using your phone or other device, you got to film in horizontal and then you got to film in vertical as well. Or you can use some software to do it, but it's never perfect. It's never quite right. So I'm finding I'm doing more work now. Like my wife and my daughter actually help out with my like I'll give them some reels or some video footage and say, look, I need a reel. I need something made up because I work full time. I work long hours, Monday to Friday. I have I have podcasts every second Wednesday. I have a live YouTube every second Wednesday night. My wife works shift a lot of the times, night shift, so I've got to do, I've got a family, so I've got to cook and do all those other things, and still got lawns to mow and cars to wash and house and shopping, all those things. Still got to fit all that into the life as well, and go and film and edit. And editing is hours and hours of work just to
It
do
is,
the
yeah.
one video, as you guys know. Yeah, like I'm sure, well, yeah, like your documentaries, Jake, would be, I'm sure that must take you some hours of that, probably days, I'd imagine, because one 20-minute video for me can take me 6 hours to edit. But when it's your passion and your hobby and your love, you don't mind doing that, But yeah, it's a commitment, and it's but I'm committed, and I've never let myself down, never let the channel down. I've always put a content out, but I'm limited to what I can do, so I can only really do 1 or 2 videos max a week based on my availability. Um, and I think there's a lot more people now doing similar or similar style of content that I guess it gives people more options as well. But I'm not like it's not a competition, it's not a game. It's just like I do my thing, how I can do it in my style and the time I've got, and I'm happy with my channel is. I mean, obviously, we'd all love our channel to be at a million and being able to do what you love full time. Of course, um, at the moment that's not a reality. So, the full time job's got to support the lot, the bills, and what little money the YouTube does make helps support the channel, equipment, tickets, food, things. We go places, and I'm very lucky. I have a lot of supportive subscribers and followers who buy me coffees through the Buy Me a Coffee app, and that also helps to support the channel as well. It doesn't just buy coffees, obviously. It supports the channel. It helps fund things that I do and the tickets I need to buy, and if I travel, it obviously assists with that as well. It all goes into a separate account to fund Jaggs Journeys. So from that side of it, but yeah, I think you got to be more creative now, I think, to a point. But I think more importantly than ever, it's important to have like your own kind of style and way of doing it. I think that's why people, have an interest in watching so many different channels because they like, what you do and they like what he does and like what she does because they're different. But if you get someone comes along just to copy someone else exactly, and what's the point of that? Have your own style. Do your best at what you want to do. I always say do what you love and how you want to do it because people will respond to that.
Yeah.
They see you're just copying someone else. We'll have a similar. There's always the content's the same. It's how we deliver it or put it out there, I suppose. Um, and of course, YouTube picks up on algorithms and the amount of videos. So if you can pump more videos out, you're gonna literally YouTube's gonna keep pushing your stuff out a lot, and your channel's gonna grow considerably well. Like I know when I sometimes I'm able to do a few more reels or a couple of shorts, throw them in the mix. Subscribers go up, and it's just natural because you're pumping more content out. But I wish I could do that more often, but I just can't at the moment. So, but it is what it is. I'm happy where the channel is. I'm happy it's still growing. It's not declining. And I've got a lot of supportive people that have been there from the start. And they always join me in their lives, and I see a lot of them in the park as well. So yeah, it's definitely probably a bit more challenging. Got to put a bit more creativity into the content across all channels or platforms, I should say. Um, but again, if you love it, it's just part of the enjoyment and the fun of it, I think.
Totally agreed
Absolutely.
there. Yeah.
Mm.
It's beautiful to hear someone else kind of put that into words, because it's, yeah, it can be a difficult thing to do, but when the love is there.
Mm. Yep, absolutely. It keeps you going, It's sort of someone said to me recently, um, "Oh, I really love your content," and I go, "Oh, I appreciate it," and they said, "No, no, I really like how you you know come across and how you explain things. It helps us plan our holidays, um, and you're who we go to for all our holiday information, all that kind of thing." I'm like, "Well, that's great. That's I'm glad that it helps people, Um, some people have said it helps their kids with anxiety because they can watch my video and go, oh, because they get anxious about going to a new place for the first time. Now they've seen what it looks like from the outside, or what you can do when you're in there, what the food looks like, what the rides are. It actually helps." And I had no idea what I put out could help people in that respect as well. And that's like blew me away. That's pretty crazy. Um, but yeah, and then someone else said, um, I sort of mentioned, well, I'd love to put out more, but I just can't. And they said, but your videos are fine as they are, And they said quality over quantity. And I went, true. I said, but quantity helps the channel grow too, So you got to have a balance somehow. So, but yeah, it's nice. I get a lot of nice comments from people, and I've only had one bad experience with someone, but we located that person and that's sorted out for the time
They
being.
were
So
liquidated.
that's it. Yeah. So yeah.
We
But yeah,
found that.
found that person. Yeah.
But that is nice to especially hear someone give you specific feedback.
Mm.
Like it's someone saying, "Oh, I love your channel," or "Oh, great videos" is nice, but like then someone actually, going that extra mile to say, "This is why I love it." There's just
Yeah.
something a little bit more that sort of uh,
Yeah.
a bit more touching about that. It's really lovely
Mm.
to hear.
Yeah. And I think and that's what I kind of um I do try to like I don't when I'm filming things, I don't try and film it like entire shows, and then I mean I end up filming the entire show, but I never put the entire thing as it is into the video with like the exact background that you'd hear and all that, because I think that's something where if you're going to the event or to that park, you want to experience it for yourself. So I always, you know, cut things into more quicker sort of video and with some maybe different kind of music and things just to amp it up a bit and make it sort of flow into the video better. But also, when you go there, you'll experience something a bit different, and it's not ruined, or
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I don't need to go now, because I want people to go to the theme parks and experience things and spend money. I mean, obviously, we don't get commission from the parks for promoting them and pushing people to the parks, but we could if we did, but we don't. But I'm just passionate to living in the Gold Coast, that I want the Gold Coast to succeed as a destination, and I want the theme parks to succeed because it employs a lot of locals. It gives a lot of people from around the world and Australia, and around the world, enjoyment and a day to escape reality, and have fun with family and friends and that kind of thing. And you don't want to see it fail, so you want people to know what's out there and what they can experience and what it's like to experience it, and to be real about the pricing and what it costs. But I always try to put a positive spin on everything. Like we could talk all day about what's wrong with the parks and what needs to be fixed up and point out the negatives. Like I just don't do that because look, if people go to the park and if they see something they don't like, they'll see something they don't like. But I don't want to show anything like that on my channel. I just want it to be a channel where you can go, you can enjoy it, whether you're going to go to the park or not. You'll enjoy. Hopefully, seeing what you see. Hopefully, the way I present it comes across good, fun. I like to try and be a little bit funny from time to time, and where I can, or a little bit of fun for people. But nice upbeat music as well, and I just want it to be a positive channel. I don't like
Yeah.
negativity. I don't like negative people either. I can't be around negative people. They suck the life out of me. I just can't deal with negative people. And hence why I see things that aren't right. And look, if I find a bad experience in a food item, I'll say, look, hey, this time this was a bit dry, or could have used a bit more sauce, maybe. But hey, but I'm sure next time you're here and you try it, you probably get a good one. Like you spin a positive on it because not everything's always going to be perfect. Nothing's perfect, but I just like to have a positive spin on everything. Give opinions, but keep it positive and let people experience things for themselves. So I like to try and cut things up in the video more like that, and not ruin whole complete shows and that sort of thing. Um, yeah, that's sort
Yeah.
of my style, I guess.
A lot of people have often said, "Oh, you seem to like every roller coaster you go on." I'm just generally happy to be on a roller coaster in the first place.
And that's it,
Um,
eh? Like it's what you love. So
but yeah,
yeah, and you can see the
there,
passion when you explain that when you hop off.
totally.
My wife and I were saying exactly that when we were watching of yours recently, and my wife said, you can tell he's just passionate about it. I said, he is. That you can see it, and that's what comes across. And I think people pick up on that. This guy's passionate. It's genuine. So
Thank
that's
you.
what people want to see.
Um, yeah, there are times where you can have a disappointing experience. And I've
Yeah,
had a couple, but I try not to dwell on it too much.
great.
Yeah, but I think the only time I've really gotten specifically negative was probably my Threadbow video.
Hmm.
Um, and that was mostly, and like I was still excited to be there because it was the first time I'd seen snow, and so that was sort of what I
Yeah,
decided to focus on.
yeah,
But yeah, it's I think a good balance between trying to remain positive, but also setting realistic expectations for people who are coming to visit. Like I didn't want
yeah.
people to
Great.
necessarily come with and have the same experience I have and walk away completely disappointed. Like I wanted to say,
Mm,
hey, if you want to go fast on the coaster, maybe come in an off season. Like, try and
yeah,
offer solutions rather than just problems.
that's great. That's great. Yeah, definitely a good
Speaking
way of
of
putting it.
offering solutions to big problems,
Yeah.
um, we have a very big problem right
Yeah.
now, and we have to address this because it's a real catastrophe in the Australian coaster
A
community,
travesty.
a real travesty, an absolute disaster. Um, and we have to ask you, um, when is Jaggs Journeys going to ride the Keith monorail?
The what? The Keith monorail. What?
That's exactly the kind of response that I was dreading. The Keith monorail is
Oh, yes,
Australia's
yes.
greatest
Sorry,
roller
yes.
coaster.
I saw that in your video. Um, don't know. You never know. Maybe this year. You never know. I don't have a
We
plan for that.
that's not
I
a
don't have a plan.
that's not a no. We
I
can
don't have a
maybe get
plan.
That's
him to
not a no. We'll
the
take that as a win.
we'll, we'll get it. We'll
Hey,
get him to
offer it.
the
Offer it.
we'll get him to the Keith monorail yet.
Why not? Why not? If it's a credit, mate, big tick.
Exactly. And they've got a
Depends who
great
you
pub
ask.
there.
I know you've got
Hey?
a podcast. I know you've got a podcast mate who might argue about whether or not it's a credit, but I'm sure you'll be on. I'm
Yeah.
sure you'll be on our side.
Yeah. Yes, I would say so. I would say so. Yeah, he's pretty specific about what is and what isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Love him. Love Riley.
yeah, yeah.
Wow. So, other than the Keith monorail, what do you think is the best roller coaster in Australia?
Hmm. The best depends, I suppose, what I class as best versus what you class as best, and other
What do
people.
you class as
Because
the best?
to be honest, I probably haven't really like I get asked all the time, "What's my favorite?" But if I what I class as the best, that's it's a tricky one actually. I mean, I suppose. Hmm. That's actually a tricky question, but I think Hypercoaster is obviously it's the longest, it's the fastest. There's some awesome elements of that ride that are pretty unique, being a custom coaster too. But I think that would have to be. Um, but again, what Jungle Rush has done, and it's not the fastest coaster, is
Mm.
creating different ride experiences on that one coaster that is like then is that the best? It's because of I guess it depends what you want out of it. Um, and some like for me, like I love roller coasters. It's probably not my number one passion. My number one passion is themed rides, and whether that be a coaster, whether it be a dark ride, or even a flat ride, but anything highly themed, I love, no matter what it is. Um, I'm not a specific like, I'm not just into coasters. I love coasters and I'd go on them all the time. But you know, I think I'm more if it's a really highly themed attraction, roller coaster, dark ride, whatever it might be. Um, you know, that's what I love. That's what I love the immersiveness of rides and what it creates, the feeling it creates. But yeah, I think if people think roller coaster, they want fast, they want thrill, probably have to be DC Rivals. Um, I would think most people may say that as their answer. But I tell you the Jungle Rush is certainly it's certainly would become a lot of people's favorite just because of the different elements of that ride and that inclined turntable, like what that gives you within the ride. It's pretty unique. Well, it is very unique, and it's a fun coaster, really fun coaster, and family coaster too. So it's not a thrill coaster by any means. Everyone gets off going, "Oh, I love that. I want to go on it again." So that could be a lot of people ride the thrill coasters like hyper coaster, and they get off and go, "I've done it. Thank God. I don't want to do that again." So it just depends, I suppose. But I'd probably have to say rivals. What do you
I
think?
definitely see how for I definitely see how for what you're looking for in terms of that themed experience, that more immersive experience. I'd almost say
Mm.
there's kind of no contest. Jungle Rush would probably be the best of the
It would
best because
it would be from that
um,
perspective.
as a huge Rivals fan myself, like I'm a coaster enthusiast. Rivals is still in my top three after all the travels that I've done.
Yep.
I'm still fully willing to admit that in terms of theming, it's got pretty
Oh
much
yeah.
nothing to offer.
Correct. 2D panels,
Yeah.
artwork. Correct. It's all about the coaster, not the theming in that one.
They gotta move those
Um,
statues into it from the Doomsday Precinct and just cut their losses, I reckon.
mm, yeah, yeah,
If
yeah,
if Doomsday really is, and like obviously this is all rumor and speculation, but if there really is something planned for that area and Doomsday is not going to last much longer, then I think it would be an absolute travesty if they don't move those statues
yeah,
and animatronics and stuff to the DC Rivals area because those were the coolest part about that area.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. When they're all working from the start, all the touch screen activations were pretty cool. People loved it. Um, but unfortunately, things they weren't maintained, or maybe they couldn't be maintained. I'm not sure what happened there with the technology, but yeah, RFID technology there just didn't seem to work great for long. You know, I was working there when it was put in, and we were selling all the bands. It was a great concept. Buy the band, and then you can activate it. And then after a while, they just became free to use, and no band. Like you could just see it dwindling. So I think if any kind of interaction, as long as it's maintained and at a good level all the time, people will enjoy it. But they need to. I think if they do get rid of that area, they've got to definitely use exactly what you said. Use the props, use the characters, the statues. They could do something maybe as you're walking down towards DC rivals. Like they could create it from the start that you're going through like a story, and they could have the characters in there and Killer Croc. They could really, the police car coming out of the wall or something. I don't know, but they could really do it well if they really put a bit of thought into it and using existing props and items from over there and a little bit of extra theming. It could turn out really good and just create a bit more for that ride, which is probably lacking definitely at the moment. So, and then definitely I want to see a massive dark ride in that spot. I keep saying it, but
Yes. Oh, we
you know,
have such a shortage of dark rides in this country. It is
yeah,
outrageous.
they
Are we?
need to literally go to their investors and go, we need at least $100 million. Because I think Transformers was that 100 million or 140 million or something. That's what you get kind of for that money, right? Transformers at
Hmm.
Universal. That's what the level. I mean, obviously there's more expensive rides than that even now with like Rise of Resistance and all that. But yeah, you get what you pay for. But they need to ask for that significant investment, and they need to get the IP right, and then it needs to be done to that world class standard that people from the US are going to go, I need to book me a trip to Aussie, and I've got to go to that dark ride. And while I'm there, I've got to see Wizard of Oz, and I've got to go to Rivertown, which I'm sure they're already talking about coming to Rivertown and Wizard of Oz now. I know there's talk amongst the enthusiasts and excitement about what they've created. In fact, Universal Studios management were actually at Dreamworld a few days before it opened, looking at that inclined turntable. So that says something alone there, right? But yeah, they need to do significant investment and put a massive attraction there. Knock down that show stage, knock down the whole area. It's a massive area. They could put something amazing, incredible in there from a dark ride perspective. If they get the investors on side, um, the ROI will come if they spend the money. I
Well,
think.
it makes the most sense, being that the Gold Coast gets very hot in summer. You
Yeah.
want to have something that will be a people chewer, like that will,
Yeah.
help disperse crowds.
Yeah.
And that Movie World used to have 3 dark rides running at once. You had Batman, you had the Gremlins ride, and you had the Looney Tunes River ride. So
Absolutely.
there's capacity for there. For
And that river ride, man, and the Batman ride too, but they were just incredible, incredible rides for their time.
Oh, totally. The Gremlins
And
ride I still remember fondly.
so good. So good. I went on that so many times, and every time I loved it. Because I felt like I was in the movie. There were the Gremlins. I was there amongst the Gremlins. It was, and if you think about it, it's a pretty basic ride.
Yeah.
Pretty basic. But
And Beetlejuice randomly showed up for some reason, but
he
you just
did.
went with it.
It's Beetlejuice. There is. Yeah, and I think it's just that era, right? The era of the times. But so good, so good. And yeah, when I was there, was when they were closing the river ride, and there was talk about retheming it and fixing it up. And the problem was it was rusting out at the bottom, like
Right.
um, and it was just literally the cost was horrendous. That's why like, we can't fix it. Like it's massive cost. Um, we were talking about Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory river ride. I mean, that was imagine that.
Yeah.
That would be incredible. Imagine the sets they could build in there.
Have
The
that terrifying experience that's in the Willy Wonka movie where they go into
through
the
the tube.
dark.
Yeah. Go up through the tube, whatever. like they could create an illusion like they do at Disneyland they used to do at Disneyland in the what was it, not the People Mover, but there was a ride. I remember when I was a kid at Disney. It's gone now. It was there for a few years, and there was a part where you're in the queue line, and then it's like the ride got shrunk, and then it went up through a tube, and you could like see it in front of you, going, "There they are, there, the size of an ant or size of an apple, going up this tube." But it was an illusion. They could make that kind of thing happen, like have the ride look like it's going up the tube of the chocolate, through, whatever means. But that would be a timeless. Like Wizard of Oz is going to be timeless, right? It's always going to be there, hopefully, because it's a movie that's never lost. Lost. It's still popular today. So Willy Wonka is still popular today. They keep doing the new versions of the movie, and it's still popular today. Could have done an amazing job there. It's a shame that they had to do what they had to do, because what's in there now, whilst it's cool, but
It's a bit regional.
not for what not what we had there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've gone backwards almost. But they need. I mean, an indoor water attraction dark ride would be insane. That would be my absolute favorite. Like, I love anything like that with water, like Jurassic Park, and then going in the inside part. I love that at Universal.
Well,
Those kind of
every single
rides.
park's flume ride is now gone.
Mm,
Vikings
correct.
Revenge, Rocky Hollow, Looney Tunes River.
Yep.
There just isn't one. So
Gone.
it's definitely a
then
gap in the market.
Wild
Okay.
West Falls is the only one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry, my bad.
Well, yeah, but all the other ones are gone. So
Mm,
still, they
absolutely.
need to. Well, you forgot about Wild West because it's often not working. I suppose it's but shouldn't say that. And that's been good lately. So yeah, I think it's
I don't think
something.
I've ridden it since the new boats were put in.
Oh, okay. Yep.
I only ever rode the old boats, so I'm not sure what the
Yeah.
experience is like riding the
Yeah,
new
it's good.
ones.
Yeah, definitely give it a go.
Good. They're comfortable.
Okay.
They're comfortable. Yeah. Yep. I think a lot more comfortable than what it was before. That long
Okay.
sort of seat, and yeah,
Yeah,
it's definitely
it is
a good ride.
it's an improvement.
Mm.
Before we wrap up, Shane, if someone is somehow stumbling upon this terrible travesty of a podcast and has not heard of Jaggs Journeys before,
Where you been?
The likelihood.
yeah, in that incredibly unlikely scenario, how can they find you, and what kind of content can they expect from you?
Yep, sure. So on YouTube, so Jaggs Journeys, Jaggs, and then space Journeys. So it's my journeys through theme parks, attractions, and events, including pop culture, supernovas, Comic Cons, that kind of thing. Other local attractions, Gold Coast, around Australia as well. And there's a little bit of USA content and New Zealand content on there as well. Hopefully, more international content in the future, depending on the dollar. So, also, I'm on Instagram, which is Jaggs Journeys AU. And how I use my Instagram is essentially, obviously, posting photos and small little reels and stories from the journeys. Also, I get a lot of my subscribers and followers who actually do visit the parks regularly when I can't, and they post me some photos and things. So a few of them get posted as well, to keep us up to date on what's happening in the parks between my weekly videos. Because essentially my videos are weekly. Every Sunday you'll see an upload there from myself. Also on Facebook and Threads, and you'll see me on TikTok as well. Again, not a huge TikTok user, but there is videos posted on there, frequently, but I wouldn't say regularly, but frequently, if that makes sense. And sort of now and then, depending on what's going on and that kind of thing. So I'll also do some live streaming every second Wednesday night here on YouTube. But there's also, from time to time, I'll do lives from the parks. So that could be on YouTube, could also be on TikTok, and sometimes on Instagram. I'll go live. Just depends on, I guess, where I am and what I want to focus on that day. You can also catch me on the Theme Park Cartel podcast as well. So we do that every second, every 2 weeks as well, and that's again on all the major streaming platforms, Spotify and all that kind of thing. So pretty much on all the platforms, but my main channel is YouTube. That's where you'll find all the videos, the theme parks, attractions, and events.
So much for that, and highly recommend going and checking out if you're like me and you haven't been to Dreamworld and seen Rivertown yet. Shane has some great content from the opening weeks of Rivertown there. I've been watching it very carefully to avoid spoilers, but I've been amazed by what I've seen, both in terms of how good the content is and how good Rivertown looks. So make sure you go and check that out as well after you finish listening to this podcast.
Appreciate it.
But yeah, absolutely. But we will wrap it up there. Make sure you catch us next week. You can find me on YouTube at Maloney's Coasters. I'm also on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. Kieran, where can they find you?
You can find me on YouTube at Ejector Beartime and on Blue Sky at ejectorbeartime.bsky.social.
Beautiful. And we will see you this time next week for another episode. And in the meantime, this has been
an utter bunch of total baloney.
Bunch of total baloney.
What a
Goodbye.
bunch! What a
What a
bunch!
bunch.